There can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks, I'm Matt. And you're Duane.
I'm Duane.
Yay! You're back.
Thank you for having me.
You never left. We're doing part 2. I decided to break this up because I didn't realize I could talk this much about Dune, or we could. And since I bashed it so much the week before, now you're going to hear a bunch of good things. Because I did like the movie, and I think I made that clear. I know you made it clear, but I want to know, what are some things that you... Oh, by the way, I got to be negative, and I did not give you a chance to be negative. Is there anything negative outside of what I mentioned that you wanted to bring up?
I think you covered the most important salient points of the minor flaws, and I don't know that any of those destroy the integrity of the film.
That's a great point to make. None of these destroyed my love for the movie. Mm-hmm. They didn't destroy my love for the movie. Disappointment would be it. However, I'm just, and I think everyone knows this who watches my channel, folks, the book is the best thing in the world. Don't deviate from the book. I don't like it when Hollywood thinks they're smarter than the book. I hate Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. I can't stand it. Visually, it's beautiful. I have the soundtracks, and I love listening to them. What went on at the end of Two Towers? What was going on during Return of the King most of the time? That they felt like they had to change the people, the characters, the decisions, the direction of a movie just to punch it up a little here. No. I understand that Tom Bombadil will never get his big screen debut. And
that is criminal. That is outright criminal.
It almost, I miss, if this were in the 80s and BBC had the rights, we'd get a pretty strong and very creative Lord of the Rings trilogy that we could rent at the library. I say that because I watched, the BBC did the first 4 movies for Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah,
Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. Yeah.
And they're fun.
Those are endearing.
No, they're not the best. Willow got to play the
okay. Oh, my goodness.
My queen, my sword is yours, my king.
I tried to watch Willow with my 13-year-old son recently because it's on Disney Plus, and and he just looked at me about halfway through and he said, "Do I have to finish this?" And I said, "Yes, you must."
Wow. Really?
It's just funny how things that were so close to my heart when I was a child don't translate to...
Oh, man, now you're making me feel sad because I bet... Because that, to me, still is an adventurous, fun romp. It's just a fun popcorn movie.
What are the little Sprite guys? The
brownies?
Yeah, brownies. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave her alone, you stupid bikini. Oh, man, I love that movie. I know they're making a TV show. I hope it doesn't suck.
Oh, okay.
But they're making a sequel. Willow's going to be in it again, whatever his name is.
I didn't mean to talk about Willow, but...
I mentioned it with that one. Yeah. But they were respectful to the material, at least. Like the silver chair.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually fun.
Yes.
Plus, I'll be honest, I do have memories of watching these, renting them from the library. You know, library had VHS tapes, and you'd watch them all the way through. And there's just something charming about them.
We didn't have much. I mean, you get tapes from the library, and you get a few hours of cartoons after school in the afternoon, and then that was it. Were you going to watch soap operas as a kid? I mean, what else? We just didn't have choices.
Watch 2 grown people dressed up as beavers. They're bigger than the kids.
That
Mrs. Beaver
was prime childhood entertainment.
But my sister says the guy that played the wolf in the big wolf costume, she said that used to scare living garbage out of her when she was a kid. Because she just thought that was super scary. So for kids, all you needed was your imagination.
That's right.
But watching it again, there are some charming scenes. Not to be too mean, they picked the ugliest girl in England to be Lucy. But... not to be too... That is mean. I mean, whoo! Lucy's supposed to be a cute little girl, but the Timothy the Fawn... Mr. Tumnus the Fawn.
Yeah.
Fawn is great, and some of the visuals is great. The White Queen, the White Witch is good.
Yeah.
And she comes back later on as the White Witch's sister, which I figured out what they were doing. The Emerald, who's only in the very end of Silver Chair, but Narnia-wise, she is the sister of Janice or whatever. And I was like, that's why they got the actress back to play Because at first I didn't realize who she was because she didn't have all her makeup on. I was like, oh, and those are the only things she ever did.
Is that right?
That I think so. But anyway, I just feel like back in the day they wouldn't have deviated as much from the source material. And yes, it led to a lot of dead moments. It led to a slow, very talky, which is how the book is. And there are some things I will forgive, like Tom Bombadil not being in the Lord of the Rings. I knew that was not going to happen. There's no way that will ever happen, sadly. And then all the exposition we talked about in the book is translated through scenes, which I thought was brilliant. Duncan is the one who explains to Paul what the Freemen are like. Well, yeah, he just got back. So that makes sense. And, Lady Jessica explains why the Bene Gesserit are like this. And it's very brief and to the point, not 2 chapters long. So I was digging. Oh, and Duke Leto, I love this, talking to his son about we must do what we must, but it's a trap, Father. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. They mentioned his grandfather was into bull fighting, which is, I guess was that in the original book? Because that's in the prequel books. But I didn't know that was in maybe it had to be in the original books. I doubt these people read everything, but there was a lot of things in there that built up the world that explained it without, and here's what David Lynch did bad, but he was following the book. Dune, the planet of spice. 10,000 years ago, the Empire, or Princess Irulan was doing the commentary, narrative for
narration
throughout the entire movie. We are the Dune. We're the Freemen. Oh my goodness, he was just following what the book says.
Trying to cover all that material and get it in front of the audience. I read somewhere little trivia that when the movie first premiered, they would give moviegoers little cheat sheets of the glossary of all the names and places and the technologies.
Shut up, really?
Yes, you can look that up. But I believe there were these little cheat sheets so that they could keep track, because the marketers were worried that people were going to hate the movie because they were going to get lost.
Now, here's the thing. They said the same thing about Star Wars. That's why they sold the rights back to George. They thought it was just too confusing. No one would understand this. And to be fair, it is a lot to take. If you don't know anything about it, you walk in Star Wars like, what's the, like you said, lightsaber and stuff. And how did he do that? How do you make him hear a noise? Was that Obi-Wan Kenobi? They can make noises. They're ventriloquists. What are they? I guess that can be kind of, strange. So, and I'll be honest, I had the same thought. Watching this movie, I was like, oh, it was me. I was enjoying it. I was like, oh, they need to explain more for the stupid people in the audience. I guess I'm just used to people acting like sheep and not understanding things. And no, it seems like they did a good job with that. But I like how the dialogue used to kind of, keep the pace going without all of the here's who we are, here's what we are. They didn't do anything with Robin and Baron Harkonnen. He didn't explain jack squat to him, just like they were going to betray the Atreides line. He can't wait to get revenge on them. Other than that, he didn't explain how the universe was working, what was up with the Emperor, and what was their role and everything. I was like, oh, okay.
The Harkonnens just leave.
But then again, all you got to know is Harkonnen hate Atreides, McCoys hate Hatfield. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
So, but I thought all that was just really well done. And they skipped over, quote unquote, the boring parts of the book. Because if you were to read the book, you've got to make it through that first 1/3 before you get to anything. Yeah. Nothing really happens.
It's kind of like the Bible. You start with Genesis, and you got to read Leviticus. If you get through Leviticus,
you got to read Leviticus. Well, you got to read Numbers too, a little bit too. There's a little bit of the genealogies of who beget who and who beget.
Then you get to the exciting parts.
I read a book a long time ago called "Reading the Boring Parts of the Bible."
Oh yeah,
do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Who wrote that?
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I remember I read that one.
I have it on my shelf
because I wanted to know. Get me some excitement, because when you get to that, that's rough. Or the laws.
Yes.
And on the 5th day, they shall look at their hand. And if he has a blemish on his hand, if he does not have a blemish, he will go back to, okay.
Moby Dick is the same way.
Rinse and repeat.
You get all this stuff about whales and whaling up front before you get into any of the exciting parts. And I think he did that deliberately.
Have you read Bone?
Yes.
Okay. Where his favorite book is Moby Dick, and everyone falls asleep when you start to read it. That I was like, I know, that's me. I will never. Dad read Moby Dick to us. when we went to bed.
Okay.
Because it could put you to sleep.
Yeah.
And I still don't care about that book. But I'm sure later on it gets better. But the nautical stuff and how sailors work and how the nets work and how they
He's
cast.
building the world.
He's building the world.
You just got to be patient.
He sat with a bunch of fishermen for a few months, and he doesn't want any of those notes to go to waste. And he gets paid by the word, obviously. Right. So, yeah. And then the only quote people know is "There she blows." That's
I am
it.
Ahab.
Yeah, I am. Oh, well,
call me Ahab. I'm sorry.
Call me Ahab.
I whiffed that one. Yeah.
Anyway, but they did a good job with this, and I did not mind that, and I was like, this is good. I'm all for improvements there. I've already talked about. I love the music. Did you get a chance to hear the? Do you listen to soundtracks when you watch movies? Did you catch on to the music that much?
Okay. I don't remember. I think it fit so well and so seamlessly with what was happening that I didn't pay attention to it. It was almost atmospheric. It was almost like
that is a great word for it.
So seamless with what was happening. It was not a distraction, and so
it was not. They didn't have crescendos and big moments. You know, it was epic. I was going to say like a space opera in a way, but atmospheric. That's a great word for it. Word of the day there, folks. Atmospheric. Glad you're on this podcast, not Bruce. It was cool. And then I'd say, it was cool.
I was going to ask you, why does this microphone smell like Red Bull?
that must be mine, because Bruce would smell like beer.
Okay, is that what?
Bruce's smells like beer and Diet Coke.
Okay. I remember.
This is his mic.
My memories of Bruce are lots of Red Bull.
Lots of Red Bull.
Yeah.
Did he drink Red Bull a lot?
Yeah, he did.
Probably so,
I'm
yeah.
Sorry. You can cut all this out. This is boring.
No, this is good stuff. We can talk about Bruce. Bruce is now listening. He's finally listening now. He drinks Diet Coke and Fat Tire or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Or some kind of beer. But he's always bringing it over.
Yeah.
And then leaving the bottles and the bottle cap and the trash on the table.
Nice. I didn't mean to dunk on Bruce. I miss Bruce.
I do miss him. He's working. Folks, I said 60 hours a week, and he said it was more like 79. So he's working really hard. But we'll get him back on here one day. We talked about. I talked about the Thopter, and how I thought that was just really cool, and they got to look down. Any other things about the look?
I loved all of the ships, and I'm hungry for hungry for artistic, imaginative space technology, and that gave it to me. My kids drug me to the Star Wars sequels, and one of the things I hated about those is there was no imagination. One thing you can say about the Star Wars prequels is everything was different from the original trilogy. The ships, the vehicles, the technology, everything. You were stepping into a different world that you'd never seen before. Everything was just a rerun and rehash. Oh, there's more walkers. Oh, there's another Death Star. Oh, there's another Star Destroyer. Everything looks exactly the same, and it just got. I think that's why the toys didn't sell. I think the toys were garbage because we've already got those.
It's funny because now that we're talking about Star Wars, we have my whole listening audience's attention now.
Okay.
Have you read the comic book Tales of the Jedi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The look of those ships, I just recently reread these. They look like space sail barges.
Yes.
They had that, it was weird. Space pirates.
Remind me who were the characters in that one. It's a long time ago.
Keldroma. Okay. Nomi Sunrider.
Okay, got it. Yep.
Yeah, and Exar Kun and stuff. But the cables were like ropes in a way. Some of them had sails and whatnot, and their look was like a little medieval, a little plates of armor surrounded by robes, sashes and whatnot, and it just had this nice, different. You could tell it was an ancient feel. And then I reread another comic book series called Dawn of the Jedi, and it looks just the same as regular Star Wars or things we've seen before. It didn't feel like it was its own, what's the word? Genre of or age of ships, things we hadn't seen, things we'd seen before, generic looking, forgettable spaceships and space vehicles. Whereas the world of Dune, you are exactly right.
I was hungry for, neat new things.
You've never seen this stuff before.
Yeah.
You know another one that did this that no one liked but me and Dad was John Carter.
I loved it.
You loved it too.
Yes, I love that movie.
How that movie failed was obviously marketing or something. No, wait, hold on. Today we blame toxic fandom and we blame fans. It's all your fault for not watching it. No, but that was amazing.
That's another movie. It's another
brilliant.
story with a lot of details and a lot of weird words and a lot of weird names. But it drew you in.
But the
movie
spaceships, I've never seen anything like that. Ships, the technology. I was like, wow. And I remember before I knew people hated this, I watched it and I was like, this reminds me of Stargate. Stargate did that to me too. Because I've never seen anything like Stargate. And I was like, this is weird, but I like it. Like Space Pyramids. Bring it.
Yeah.
It was different. It was
Give
new.
me something new.
I had not seen that till John Carter. And I was like, whoa. Because when I watched it, I thought I was watching the next Stargate. I was excited for sequels.
Yeah.
I knew the Edgar Rice Burroughs books, the serial books. I don't think I'd read them by then. I did read them right after that movie. I read them all. And but the look of that movie is just so unique. And you know what you're looking at. It's not just a run-of-the-mill. That's a great point there, because Dune is one of the first ones since a Star Wars, probably since John Carter, that I've seen something that looks vastly different and builds its own world. Like you look at a Thopter, everyone's going to know where that came from. I love saying that too.
Yeah, I do too. The first time I saw it on screen when they wound it up and the wings started flapping, I was all by myself. Watching it, and I still said, that's so cool.
Yeah. I want to ride that. I did too. And then it looks like a little mosquito and everything.
A little dragonfly.
A dragonfly. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.
We don't have anything like that in our world. We don't have anything that works that way.
No.
It's so imaginative.
But it's practical enough to where we can imagine that thing working.
Right. Getting to a technology a different way and solving problems a different way.
Instead of having CGI soft ion blue engines that just kind of coast across the sky like we see in every Aliens movie, stuff like that. Okay, we've seen that. But I thought you're like, that I could build that. There's someone going, I can build this somehow. I know. Technology isn't that far ahead of us. But the spice the harvesting machine with the big vent shooting out the sand, I don't know how that thing works, but I get it. I get the concept. It's like one of those cotton machines or something that's gobbling up the thing and then shooting out the shuck or whatever. It's shooting out the sand but keeping the spice. I don't have to know how it works, but I'm looking at one, kind of combing through the sand. I see some of the sand shooting out, but I know it's harvesting spice.
Did we ever get to see the spice in the 1984 version? Was there ever? I can't remember if there was ever.
I'm sure we did. I just can't remember.
But the way that it was presented in this newer film, when it was sparkling in the air, or you can see it in the sand.
You can see
the little sparkly piece.
Sand,
yes. I can relate and I understand, this is the thing. And I don't remember in the 1984 version that clearly. Yeah, not that we're comparing the two.
I can't remember if they did or not. I'm sure they did. I just don't remember.
I'm just saying that was really well done. I was able to connect. That's the precious resource that everybody wants.
Can you come back next week and do the 1984 David Lynch? But no, you're exactly right, because these are things we had never seen before. These were new, and that was a fresh take. That's true. So that look was really good, and I agree with that. I like now. It's time to talk about some of the characters I did love. I already talked about how much I love Mentats and how I like how their eyes go back and where they're calculating. That was kind of cool.
The character that played
and the guy who played the house
looks so different and
great.
Yeah. Perfect.
Great. And you could tell there's something a little different than him, too. Just without him calculating, you knew there's something different about this guy.
Great choice.
Yeah, he's a human computer, and the actor did a great job.
Yes.
I totally agree with that. Duke Leto, fantastic.
There are so many moments of affection between him and his son. And just little moments. Just, touching him on the back or holding his shoulder, or these fatherly, tender moments that you see the love of the father for his son.
When they're on Caladan and he's talking to his son about taking responsibility. Yes, we know, but we have to do what we're told. We're Atreides. We have to. But Father, this is a trap, and we will walk in there with diligence and wisdom. But we will do our fair share or whatever, honor, Atreides honor and stuff. and just that whole talk. And about, he mentions like father, and your grandfather did love bulls, and blah blah. And you're right. There's a lot of touching scenes, which is what you need so that Paul will miss his father. It's going to really shape Paul's life later on. Spoilers. But the thing is, though, those were great scenes, and Duke Leto was good. Even when he's with his trusted aides, and he goes, "I must turn in my." Get a hold of yourself. I don't need you to resign. I need you right now. I need you at your best.
Yeah.
Apologize later. Let's get this finished now. He just seemed, because he's not in the book that much. He's not in the movie that much. But we need to feel for him.
Yeah.
And I think they did enough to where like, man, he was a good guy. He see him go. That's what you want to see.
So that Paul is the son of his father and his mother. You see both of their influences in him.
Yes. He's got that wisdom. He's got that intelligence, that sense of honor and duty from his father, and he's got the blank stare like his mother did throughout the whole movie. I'm kidding. Let's move on to Paul, because Paul is great too. I enjoyed Paul. He's supposed to be a kid. I guess he's going to grow up. I mean, he's still young when he's Paul of Dune and stuff, or Muad'Dib. The little mouse, kangaroo mouse. They showed him too.
Yeah.
Which I don't. He wasn't He wasn't in the David Lynch. David Lynch, they said you were like the little sand rat who. They can't show it because David Lynch's like, I don't know how I'm going to make a kangaroo and a mouse jump.
Yeah.
But they did it here, and I thought that was really good, and that he sees it as he's in the desert.
Little beads of moisture on the ears of the creature, and he smooths them off, and he licks his paws. There's just little things like that.
It's
little
good.
details.
Yeah, details are good there. But Paul, I thought, was really good too. So there's a lot of good things, especially fresh baked cookies that my wife just brought us.
Holy cow!
So I know I didn't tell you about these, but they were too high. I wasn't allowed to get one because they just came out of the oven. I could have done a little bit more warm, but anyway. Let's see. So Paul's done well. What'd you think about Paul? While I bite into a cookie.
Just fine. Far better than Kyle MacLachlan was the Paul.
Holy cow! You remember his name?
Yes, he was in. No. He was in.
No, he is.
He was in. Oh, what was that crazy show? Portlandia. He was the mayor in Portlandia. That goofy show. But anyway.
Yeah, that everyone watched next to Game of Thrones. Portlandia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I remember. I can't remember anything else he was in, but I thought he was very stone-faced and not believable. But the new kid.
No, and the thing was, he was very flat. The in the 1984 movie, he was just kind of flat. And, yes, mother. No, I will go do this. No, I will. Hey, guess what? Your dad just died. Anything? No? Okay, never mind. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He only had one mode, and that's all he did the entire, he was Paul of Doom at the very beginning of the film, just about. Except, yes, mother, tell me. I do not know. Yeah. But this one was pretty good, I thought. I thought the actor was pretty good. He wasn't in Portlandia too, was he?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know
Just
of.
making
Maybe.
sure.
I don't have the complete roster of actors memorized.
The other one. I'll talk about Rabin for a little while. Batista played him. Good choice, because he's the brute. He's the beast.
For all 90 seconds.
But we don't get to see him at all. Yeah. So he better do something in the next one, because he really wasn't. I mean, like I said, good pick. But the jury's still out, because you're right. 90 seconds. He's hardly in it. And he's like, it's Batista. Everyone knows who he is. They're like, look, oh, geez, I forgot his name from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
It's that guy. That's what everyone knows him as.
Drax?
Drax!
Is that his name?
Yes, Drax. Bravo. Yeah. You did it. Supercala, yeah. Bravo. All right, so the other one that I really like the Freemen.
Yes.
I like how they're portrayed. In the David Lynch version, I remember they're really not done that well. They don't look as different from the people, but the Freemen are, in this one, I thought, their world, their cultures brought out a lot more. Like the servant who has the knife and basically is explaining to Lady Jessica what's going on. There's more to the Freemen here than just a mention in David Lynch's until he gets dumped in that situation. Any thoughts on or is it Stilgar? They showed Stilgar, which was good too. What did you think about them?
believable as a different race. They picked actors who look very different. I mean, of course, the blue eyes set them apart, but and I know that's a digital effect. But they just look very different from the Atreides or the Harkonnen. I think they just did a good job.
They look weathered.
Yes,
desert dwelling people.
Yeah.
They had a sense of honor. They worked well as a code. You kind of bought into it.
The very guerrilla warfare tactics that they used.
Hiding in the sand and stuff like that. You know, I want to see them square off against Tusken Raiders one day. But, yeah, you know. But no, I thought they were really well done too. And so this is... I know I made a lot of, you know, disparaging comments about some of the actors in the movie, and I'm going to double down on those. I think they weren't very good. But then at the same time, the other half of the cast did great. Great, much better. Yeah, much better than David Lynch's group there, because the Freemen, nondescript. Mentats were there a little bit. Even though Peter... what's his name? The Mentat for the Harkonnens. Is he even in this movie? The new one? Peter?
I thought there was a scene.
I want to say there was when they were getting
ready.
poisoned. Was he in the room?
Oh.
When he cracks the tooth? Was Peter, his Mentat, in there?
I thought I saw him when they were loading all of the troops onto the troop transports. I thought I saw him there doing something.
Oh.
I am going to watch this again, by the way.
You should.
I can't wait to watch it again. I'm going to watch it with my son. And
oh, yeah. It's great.
This is a rewatch movie.
We should also mention the costumes, too, because the Shudakar, the Emperor's Men, when all the Emperor's ensemble comes and he gives the royal decree to Paul Atreides, just the look of everyone, the costumes and everything, really well. The still suits and everything, the water-tanning suits were good, too. I should also mention the costuming here, which you're thinking, well, it's desert and space, but it's unique, and it had a good feel to it. So I did like that as well. Am I missing anything else?
What I loved,
did you like
in just
about
a summary, like I said, it's been 15 years since I read the book, and honestly, I read the book because I read somewhere that George Lucas got ideas from Dune, and I thought, oh well, maybe I should at least go back and see what he did and what he got out of it. So the spice mines of Kessel, or the spice freighters, or
that's true. That's true. And spice
sand
is a
planet,
drug.
and
it doesn't make the world go round, but
and maybe
that's true. No,
sand people were probably the Fremen.
The Fremen,
and so I think there are some, but I had a hard time, and I remember at the time I had a hard time finishing the book. I have a bad habit of reading several things at once, and so I just had a hard time at that time. I finished it, and I was glad that I did it. This movie has now given me the furniture of the mind in a way that the 1984 didn't. I thought, remembering the 1984 movie, I thought that was just a schlocky thing.
Yeah.
This has given my mind some hooks to hang some imagination on, so that when I get back home, I'm going to take that book off my shelf and I'm going to start over.
Wow.
And I'm going to read it again now with this help, this very helpful aid, and I may keep reading. I don't know if I keep reading past the first book. So this may have created a new fandom for me,
because it established an image and a sense of the world,
and a world to step in the world and breathe the oxygen of the characters, and to see
that's a good point,
the environment that they live in, and to be able to
see now that what you said right there, that gives me hope, because like I said, I'm just crossing my fingers and hope they don't cancel this, because they hadn't. Now they are officially filming part 2.
Good,
but they didn't announce that prior to opening, and I was thinking, what? They didn't film these back to back? And I was really worried. I said, that shows they have zero confidence in this. And I was thinking, oh no, here we go, part 1, and then nothing. Until 10 more years when we decide to remake it again. That would be
disappointing.
And that would be disappointing. But I hearing you say that, it's probably going to open up. There's obviously other people who are saying the same thing, like, I need to pull that book back down from the shelf. I'm going to be honest, spoiler alerts, the sequels are weird. And they get weirder. I mean, the weirdest one is when the his son turns into a worm. Spoiler. But
I like worms.
Metamorph. Well,
Just
good,
more.
because he's going to metamorphosize into a half man, half worm, and you're going to be like, "What is going on?" And then it gets even worse after his wife dies after he made God Emperor of Dune, and so Heretics and Chapter House Dune, the script is flipped on everything, and you're so confused. But that's because his wife died. She always loved the Bene Gesserit. They are the evil, most despicable people in the world. Now suddenly they're the good guys saving the galaxy, and they have been all along. Okay, I know you miss your wife, but don't do this. Plus, it was just really weird. It was I like Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Hebert's prequels books are really good. They're really good, and the ending of the sequel is good. People have seen me. I think I did I believe I did a podcast on all these books a long time ago. I think I did, and I talked about how the ending I didn't like for one particular reason. They tried to. Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Herbert took some of his father's notes, and obviously they wanted to have their input. And to me, it was very obvious what was their input and what was Frank Herbert's original idea for the ending. I could tell. Because they were kind of weaving in some of their story, which I'm sure they used as notes, but I'm also sure they didn't want what they had for an ending. He didn't want what they had for an ending. Either way, though, overall, I do love Dune, and I'm happy that this movie is doing well. I'm happy that's garnering interest back in Dune. I don't think Dune, the book, is very well written, to be honest. That's a lot of exposition to put at the very beginning, and it drags. It drags. It's a history lesson for 1/3 of it. And who wants to hear a history lesson of a world they don't know anything about? I wouldn't. So I'm glad the movie's doing it a favor. I'm glad more people are getting interested. I'm just glad. I just hope we get to see sequels. I want to see a half man, half worm. I want to see that. Will not stop until I see it. There's a few things in Heretics of Doom I do not want to see, and things that they can't show. But the thing is, though, other than that, though, I'd love to see it. So that's good that you're going to watch it again now, and maybe even reopen the book.
Yes, my son saw the trailer, and I was intending to watch it with him anyway. I went ahead and cheated and watched it without him, but I'm going to watch it with him
for this podcast. Thank you. I appreciate your sacrifice.
No, it was fun. It was fun, and I'm not even.
I'm glad I ruined that special moment for you and your son. Thank you for that.
I'm not going to tell him. I'm going to act like it's the first time I've ever seen it. And since nobody listens to this podcast.
Okay. Well, look. Well, thanks.
I listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We have 16 other people who do too. But thank you for coming on.
It is my
This
pleasure.
has been a ton of fun. I wish we could do this every week. I think I've said this before, the first time you guys started on this. Years ago, it was Bruce, Duane, and I who would sit around. You were talking about this right before we went live, around watching wrestling. And while it's playing, we're talking about all this stuff that we talk about on the podcast. So, to be honest, if I would have gotten on the podcast thing, it would have been you, Bruce, and I doing this podcast. So I'm glad you always have a welcome seat at the table. Whenever you're back in town, please come back again. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you. It's a kind of magic.
Magic. Yeah! Now, okay, folks, we're going to go sing karaoke from It's a Kind of Magic. So go listen to the whole
Highlander
album.
soundtrack.
The Highlander soundtrack. It's a Kind of Magic. No, the album's called It's a Kind of Magic,
is it?
Right?
Okay.
I think it is. It's a bunch of them. They look like all like blue Aladdin genies dancing. They're all the members of the Queen. I remember, at least that's what my tape looked like. But, all right, so listen to that. And we'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.